Hundreds of investors in Shanghai surrounded Guilin Wealth headquarters. Mass snowfall in southern China affects over 10,000 people, hits Guilin for first time in 21 years. Natural disasters strike China, 7.1 earthquake in Xinjiang and deadly landslide in Yunnan. Affected by U.S.-China relations? United Airlines cuts flights to mainland China. Country Garden sells off more than $700 million in assets to save itself. Hundreds of investors in Shanghai surrounded Guilin Wealth headquarters. Hundreds of investors in Shanghai Guilin Wealth Management Limited Company staged rights defense actions on Monday and Tuesday, gathering at Guilin Wealth headquarters and the Shanghai Pudong Economic Investigation Bureau for 2 consecutive days to demand Guilin Wealth redeem the wealth management products they purchased. Guilin Wealth is a leading domestic third-party wealth management company. Its parent company Guilin Holdings went public on the U.S. stock market in March 2021, becoming the second third-party wealth management company after Noah Holdings to list in the U.S. Guilin Wealth mainly provides fixed-income products such as real estate, supply chain finance, and accounts receivable to investors through distribution. Investment returns range from 7% to 10%. However, since December last year, some Guilin wealth management products have seen deferred redemptions. On December 14, Guilin Holdings announced on Nasdaq that some of the asset-backed products it previously distributed were facing redemption issues. The product's asset managers were unable to reach agreements with relevant customers on deferred payments, and customers are now requesting the company to repay. On December 17, Guilin Wealth's official WeChat account released an announcement regarding redemption arrangements for products. It said based on the latest regulatory policies and industry trends, Guilin Wealth has taken the initiative to exit and is sorting out outstanding businesses. Relevant plans will be provided to everyone before the end of the month. However, Guilin Wealth's announcement did not appease investors' anger, but instead triggered even more doubts. Investors gathered at Guilin headquarters multiple times demanding redemption, but to no avail. On January 22nd and 23rd, hundreds of investors who purchased Guilin Wealth products gathered at Guilin Wealth headquarters, Shanghai Pudong Economic Investigation Bureau and other locations for 2 consecutive days, singing the national anthem and shouting slogans like Guilin Return Money and Guilin Wealth are scammers, demanding to meet Guilin Chairman Han Hongwei or obtain reasonable solutions. However, Guilin Wealth did not provide clear responses, only sending some staff to communicate with investors and claiming they are trying to resolve the issues. In the meantime, authorities dispatched a large number of security personnel. All investors were driven onto buses and taken away, and many who refused to leave were arrested. Investors say they will continue defending their rights, hold Guilin Wealth accountable, and demand Guilin Wealth repay principal and interest to give them justice. Mass snowfall in southern China affects over 10,000 people, hits Guilin for first time in 21 years. Recently, heavy snowfall has continued in many parts of southern China. Among them, the heavy snow in Hunan has affected over 10,000 people, and snow fell in Guilin city center in Guangxi for the first time in 21 years. According to Chinese mainland media reports, at 6 a.m. on January 24, China Meteorological Administration issued a blue cold wave warning, predicting that from January 24 to 25, the lowest or average temperatures in parts of Guizhou, central and southern Hunan, central and southern Jiangxi, central and southern Zhejiang, Fujian, Guangdong, and eastern Guangxi will be 5 degrees Celsius or more lower than the historical averages over the same period. Among them, the temperatures in parts of central and eastern Guizhou, central Hunan, central and southern Jiangxi, southern Zhejiang, western Fujian, southwest Guangdong, and southeast Guangxi will be 7 degrees Celsius or more lower, with the 0 degrees Celsius line located in northern Guangxi and northern Guangdong. According to Hunan Meteorological Bureau, from 7 a.m. on January 22 to 7 a.m. on January 23, heavy to blizzard snow occurred in central and southern Hunan. 13 prefecture-level cities including Changsha, Luoyang, and Zhuzhou, Liling, Chailing experienced heavy blizzards, while Xiangtan, Beihu District, and Zhuzhou, Hatong District saw extremely heavy blizzards. The snow depth exceeded 10 centimeters in 23 prefecture-level cities, exceeded 20 centimeters in 6 cities including Hetung District and Xinhua County, and reached a maximum of 29 centimeters in Xinhua. In Longshan County, Shaanxi Tujia and Miao Autonomous Prefecture of Western Hunan, the snow has gone over the knees. This province-wide blizzard in Hunan has affected over 10,000 people to varying degrees and damaged 4,800 hectares of crops. In addition to Hunan, due to rain, snow, and low temperatures, some expressways in Guizhou have implemented temporary traffic control. As of 10 a.m. on January 24th, a total of 8 sections across 11 locations and 71 toll stations have been closed on expressways in Sichuan. Due to snow and freezing rain, some transmission lines in Sichuan were covered in ice, posing severe challenges to the stable operation of the power grid. After snowfall in Chengdu, Sichuan, vendors were selling small snowmen for 20 yuan each on Longquan Mountain. Affected by the cold wave, the average temperature in Hefei, Anhui dropped by over 10 degrees Celsius. Citizens turned on air conditioners and other devices for heating, leading to a rapid rise in power load. From January 22nd, the maximum power load in the city's power grid climbed by over 15% within 24 hours, and the total electricity consumption for the day reached nearly 200 million kilowatt-hours, setting a new January record for the Hefei area. Natural disasters strike China, 7.1 earthquake in Xinjiang and deadly landslide in Yunnan. China has recently experienced frequent natural disasters. After the severe landslide disaster in Jinsheong County, Jiaodong City, Yunnan on the 22nd, a magnitude 7.1 strong earthquake struck Wuxi County, Aksu Prefecture in Xinjiang early yesterday morning. According to CCTV reports, the former has resulted in 31 deaths so far, while the latter is known to have caused 3 deaths and 5 injuries. As both places have sub-zero temperatures, with Jiaodong even seeing rain mixed with snow, rescue efforts face extreme difficulties. According to measurements from China's Earthquake Administration, at 2:09 a.m. yesterday morning, a magnitude 7.1 earthquake struck Wuxi County, Aksu Prefecture in Xinjiang, with a depth of 22 kilometers. As of yesterday afternoon, over 70 aftershocks above magnitude 3 have been recorded, with the largest aftershock at magnitude 5.3. China's State Council Earthquake Relief Headquarters and the Ministry of Emergency Management initiated Level 3 emergency response measures for the earthquake. Fortunately, the area hit by the strong quake in Xinjiang is located in a remote mountainous region with relatively few residents. According to CCTV reports last night, the earthquake has resulted in 3 deaths and 5 injuries so far. Another 47 houses have collapsed. A total of 12,426 people have been evacuated and transferred from the disaster area, while rescue work and other tasks are still underway. As for the severe landslide disaster that happened on the 22nd in Jinsheong County, Jiaodong City, Yunnan, which buried 18 households and 47 people, rescue efforts are still continuing. As of last night, 31 missing people have been rescued, all showing no vital signs. Local authorities have carried out emergency evacuation and resettlement for 223 households comprising 918 people and have dispatched over 1,000 rescue personnel. Beijing Youth Daily reported that according to some sources, one family was hosting a banquet and had invited relatives over for a meal when all 17 members ended up buried underground. According to China Meteorological Administration forecasts, affected areas in Xinjiang's Wuxi County will see mostly cloudy to sunny weather over the next 3 days, with temperatures between -13 degrees Celsius and -12 degrees Celsius. Jiaodong, Yunnan will see temperatures of -4 degrees Celsius to 1 degree Celsius, with overcast skies bringing light snow or rain mixed with snow. Affected by U.S.-China relations? United Airlines cuts flights to mainland China. United Airlines has once again canceled a large number of flights to mainland China. The airline removed 161 flights from its March schedule, including flights from New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Chicago, and Washington, D.C. to Beijing, Shanghai, and Chengdu. Simple Flying, the world's largest aviation news website, reported that according to data from analytics company Cirium, United Airlines has changed the number of flights operating on 7 routes, removing 23 flights from each route schedule. The only unaffected flights were the sole regular flight from San Francisco International Airport, San Francisco Airport, to Chengdu Xuanliu International Airport, CTU, as well as the daily flight from San Francisco International Airport to Beijing Capital International Airport, PK, that operates as a regular flight, carrying over 10,000 passengers per month. United Airlines issued a statement saying these schedule changes were due to the bilateral agreement between the U.S. and China. Section 212 per 213 orders from the U.S. Department of Transportation restrict the number of flights between China and the U.S. and only provide a certain number of takeoff and landing slots. If future allocations change, United intends to adjust services accordingly. Two affected routes were from Newark Liberty International Airport, EWR, to Beijing Capital International Airport and Shanghai Pudong International Airport, PVG, with 23 flights canceled on each route. Each route lost a total of over 6,000 passengers. In March, United will retain only 2 flights on each of these routes, carrying just 500 passengers per route. Flights were also reduced on 2 other routes from Chicago O'Hare International Airport, ORD, to Beijing and Shanghai. 23 flights were cut from each route, with slightly fewer than 5,600 passengers lost per route. Additionally, United canceled 23 flights each on routes from San Francisco to Shanghai, Los Angeles International Airport, LAX, to Shanghai, and Dulles International Airport, IAD, to Beijing. These 3 routes lost 6,348, 5,911 and 5,589 passengers respectively. Last October, the U.S. and China agreed to increase weekly flights between the two countries. U.S. officials said at the time that flights would increase to 70 per week starting November 9, 2023. The two sides have gradually lifted restrictions on passenger airline services imposed during the pandemic. The U.S. Department of Transportation and Beijing government intend to allocate the new flight slots to the 3 major U.S. airlines and 6 Chinese carriers. The U.S. airlines are American Airlines, Delta Airlines, and United Airlines. The Chinese carriers include Air China, Beijing Capital Airlines, China Eastern Airlines, China Southern Airlines, and Hainan Airlines. Prior to the COVID-19 outbreak, there were an average of 340 flights per week between the U.S. and China, but flights have struggled to resume as the U.S. did not agree to increase flights during the pandemic. U.S. officials believe China's strict pandemic control measures violate existing agreements between the two countries. Country Garden sells off more than $700 million in assets to save itself. Country Garden, the Chinese real estate developer mired in debt, has recently sold off nearly 5 billion renminbi, same below, over $700 million, worth of assets. Analysts pointed out that this is Country Garden desperately trying to save itself by selling off assets. As a result, it is accelerating asset disposal. Chinese media outlet 21st Century Business Herald reported today that on January 22, Country Garden listed 5 asset transfer projects on the Guangzhou Property Rights Exchange with a total proposed transfer price of 3.8 billion renminbi. These projects are all located in Guangzhou, containing various property types including office buildings, office towers, hotels, and apartment buildings. All have clear property rights. Industry insiders predict these assets could be liquidated relatively quickly. The report said that last week, Country Garden's Australian subsidiary Risland Australia proposed selling the remaining land holdings in Sydney for 240 million Australian dollars, about $158 million, 1.138 billion renminbi. This is Country Garden's last project in Australia. The company revealed that the project is currently under negotiation. If everything goes smoothly, the transaction is expected to be completed in the first half of the year. After a preliminary tally, Country Garden has sold nearly 50 billion renminbi worth of domestic and overseas assets in January 2024 alone, and it's not even the end of the month yet. If you include the 3 billion renminbi from Country Garden liquidating Wanda Group shares in mid-December last year, then total asset sales amount to nearly 80 billion renminbi. For Country Garden, which has tight liquidity, this is hugely significant. Facing operational difficulties, Country Garden announced last December that 4 senior executives had decided to take voluntary pay cuts, with one executive's salary dropping from 3 million renminbi to 120,000 renminbi. Back then, chairwoman of the board Yang Huiyan declared, "The family will definitely sell whatever we have to support the company. The company will work hard to find an effective path to resume normal operations as soon as possible." According to 21st Century Business Herald, Country Garden is now accelerating asset disposals and selling whatever it has just to save itself. However, Country Garden still faces considerable pressure from its offshore debt in the first half of this year. Its corporate early warnings show that currently, Country Garden has 15 outstanding USD bonds totaling $9.9 billion US. Therefore, ensuring cash flow ultimately still depends on expanding sales.